Rebozo techniques, or kind of wrapping techniques. They're quite useful prenatally, and they can certainly help when you've got any pain in the pelvis. And pelvic pain can actually be from a variety of reasons. It can be a looseness in the sacroiliac joint or tightness in the sacroiliac joint. It can be where the hip muscles are and the hip fascia are kind of gently being pulled as the pelvis broadens. It can be the symphysis pubis. It can be lack of muscular support at the symphysis pubis, which is SPD. So lots of different reasons, but the wrapping around the pelvis can be really useful for all of those things. And then you've got the belly wrapping. So we talked last week about this diastasis rectus, where the abdominal muscles separate slightly. And the binding is really good for that. It can help to draw the abdominal muscles back in, and it can also support the abdomen. In addition to that, when you've got round ligament pain, you know, most of us have that at some point during the pregnancy as you have a growth, and the binding can also support that when you've got really uncomfortable round ligament pain. In addition to all of this, it's actually quite useful to possibly use the belly binding postnatally as well. So it's something that doesn't get spoken of a lot, but when you've had your baby for the first 6 weeks at least, you have absolutely no strength or support in your abdomen, and so backache can be quite common. And then you're kind of doing weightlifting because you're lifting a baby and you've got no core support because the muscles are still stretched to that point where they were out here. So, and I've heard some women say things like, oh, it feels like I've got a hole in my belly because there's just nothing there initially. So having the binding around the belly can actually be quite useful postnatally as well. So just have that in the back of your mind, particularly if you're getting near the due date, that you might actually really enjoy having the support of this shawl or whatever you're using to support you after you've had your baby. So in addition to that, is there anything else you'd like to cover? Anybody got any particular stretches, niggles?
Can you do this if you've had a C-section?
Yeah. What you mean after postnatally? Yeah, and in fact I would imagine it's probably quite nice, because again, if you've had a C-section, you've got even less support. And actually people who have had C-sections tend to get a little bit of backache because there's, you know, not only have you got a stretched abdomen, but you've now got a wound as well. So I mean, obviously talk to your consultant because they might have a different take on it. So if you do have a C-section, say afterwards, you know, what about this, you know, binding of the belly? They probably don't know what it is, so you might have to explain what it is. But I can't imagine there's any unbenefit, anything bad about it. Okay.
I had a C-section from her first, and I didn't do binding, but I had one of those bands that you can put around, sort of just support.
Or the elasticated.
Yeah, and as long as it's not irritating the scar, then the midwife was fine with it. Well, the visitor was fine with me using it. It was quite helpful actually. It just takes the pressure off your back a little bit when you're constantly picking the baby.
Oh, thank you. So that's completely, you've completely had the experience of what I was trying to explain. So yes, brilliant. Yes, there's always wisdom in the classes from you all. So perfect. So if you'd like to just sit up against the wall, give yourself some support, and then you're going to bring your feet into a nice open diamond position, unless you feel that that isn't going to be very conducive for your hips, in which case you may want to stretch the legs out. So it's kind of like a more open version of the butterfly pose. So the butterfly pose, we'd have the soles of the feet together, we'd have them quite close in, and there'd be a strong hip stretch. We're taking it slightly further forwards. So you should find that you can sit quite comfortably in this position. And then bring the backs of your hands onto your legs, and notice how that helps to open the chest. So while we're opening the hips very gently in this position, I'd like you to think about opening the chest as well. So can you draw the shoulder blades in towards your body so they don't kind of poke out? Have the arms rotating outwards. And then just supporting yourself against the wall. And just closing your eyes. And just take a moment to center down into your own physical body, noticing how it feels. Noticing all the changes that might have taken place since last week. Or you might not have any changes at all, so things may be completely the same. And then just becoming aware of your baby. So fixing your awareness on your baby. Noticing any movements that you might be having or just any sensations. Maybe there's a little bit of tightness against your skin. Maybe there's a feeling of pressure down in the pelvis. And just feeling this connection energetically and emotionally to your baby. And then move your awareness to your breath. So begin to notice the movement of your breath. Feel the sensation of the body expanding as you breathe in and then gently releasing as you breathe out. And begin to engage the muscles around the throat, cultivating a soft Ujjayi breath or ocean breath. Just mimicking the sound of sighing under the breath, breathing in and out through the nose. And feeling the fullness of the breath. So the ocean breath allows you to breathe a little bit more deeply. It also allows the breath to become long and slow, which ultimately leads to a calmer state of mind. Just continue a few more times. And then you can just gently relax the ocean breath, and we will come back to it. And then you can just gently lift the legs up. So if you want to just move a little bit away from the wall now, so you've got a bit of space, and then lean back into your hands and walk your feet wider than your mat. And then just rock the knees from side to side. So this gives quite a nice stretch for the hips to give you focus on the internally rotating legs. It is a good counter pose to the gentle butterfly stretch that we've just done. And then from there you're going to take the legs out wide. So just notice how that feels. And you might need to soften the knees. So if the hamstrings are feeling a little bit tight, you can always just relax the knees. And then push your toes away. And then pull them back towards you. And then do the same thing again.
I love watching Harriet run.
Yeah. Best point.
I hate it. It makes me feel very frumpy.
Imagine how I feel. I mean, I've 30 years of yoga. Still nowhere near as bending as Harriet. And then rotate
Like a lump.
the ankles around. And then rotate it in the opposite direction. And then roll your thighs inwards. And then roll them outwards. Roll them inwards. And roll them outwards. And just do that a few times, noticing how that feels in the hip joint. So we want to move the thighs, so you're feeling the whole leg rotating in the hip sockets. And noticing if there's any difference between the two movements. So some of you might find that rotating inwards is easier, and that's definitely the case for me. I can rotate really easily inwards.
Can't do the inward one.
Yeah,
I can do the out.
And it seems to be we're either one or the other, and unless you're very hypermobile. So just notice which one you are. Are you an innie or an outie? You've got a lovely turn out, I think, Lizzie. Yeah, Lily's has got lovely.
I thought that was the I couldn't do that.
No, your turn out's really good. You've almost got your little toes on the floor. So yeah, so it's an interesting thing with hips. The other thing I've noticed from years and years of doing yoga and teaching yoga as well is that people are either hippie or they're hamstringy. So they've either got really great hamstrings, they can do a forward bend with ease, but then their hips are really tight. Or it's the other way around. Like in my case, my hamstrings are really tight, my hips are great. And then occasionally you get some people who are hypermobile and they can do both. But that's a really interesting thing as well. So you might notice in yourself whether, are you tight in your hamstrings or your hips, or are you blessed with hamstrings or hips? Okay, give them a little bounce. And then push the heels away and just feel a sense of lengthening upwards. With the feet sort of keeping you grounded and anchored. You're going to push the heels away. And then you're going to breathe in, take the arms out to the sides and reach them up. And then with a straw breath, you're going to come forwards as you breathe out. So straw breath blowing out through the lips as if you have a straw. Breathing in your ocean breath. Ujjayi breath, and then you're circling out to the sides with your straw breath. I'm just going to do that a couple more times. So really find the space in the shoulders. So inhaling ocean breath, exhaling straw breath. We're going to come up to the center again one more time. And this time, you're going to reach forwards and just go to wherever you can. Doesn't matter whether it's a millimetre or whether you're getting your head on the floor.
How would you do that?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Jeez, good hamstrings.
Just get in the way.
Yeah, imagine if she wasn't pregnant.
She'd be flat on the floor. I'm like barely touching the floor. Handstand.
But what I always say, in classes, because this happens in nearly every class, that I teach, that, you're always going to find somebody that can beautifully, do a pose. But what I always say is, you're all doing this pose to your maximum. You've all got the same experience, you've all got the same sensation. So that's pulling Harriet just as much as it's pulling you, Jen. It's a slightly different shape.
I used to be a gymnast. I used to do that so easily when I was younger, and now you think, oh God.
So if you do feel quite tight here, one of the things we can do to make a bit more space is to kind of waft around. So I find when we hold poses, if we start to bring some movement into it, particularly where the spine and the shoulders are involved, it does seem to open up a little bit more space. So just notice how that feels to bring in just a little bit of movement. And then you can just rise all the way up and then just reactivate the heels as well, push them away. I'm going to do a bit of work on the shoulders. So now you're going to bring the palms of your hands together. Keep pushing the heels away and just swimming your arms around. So you can come back to your ocean breath, and what we're aiming to do here is to get into the shoulders as much as we can. So if you think of this movement to be coming from the elbows rather than the hands, you want to be lifting the elbows as high as you can and swooping them as low down as you can. That gives you a very different movement than if you're just kind of moving the hands. So think of this as being inherently shoulder moves. back now. Interlace the fingers, push the palms away. Reach the arms up over the head and keep pushing the palms of your hands away. Now push into your left heel, really push it away and gently ease over towards the right side. So you're coming away from that leg. So that left leg is anchoring you down. And then inhale, reach up. Now push the right heel away. And as you exhale, reach over to the left. And inhale and come up. And do the same thing again. Push the heel away as you ease over to the side. And inhale, come up. And then the last time. And then bring the hands behind your head and see if you can squeeze your elbows backwards. And then we're going to do this with the breath. So as you breathe out, you're going to bring the elbows towards each other and just let the head drop down. You get a bit of a stretch in the back of the neck. And then on the inhale, you're going to lift your chest, squeeze the elbows backwards. And then do the same again. Exhaling, just letting the head drop down, elbows come towards each other. And inhale. Lift the chest, take the elbows back one more time. And then release and come down. Just gently gather the legs up. Might feel a little bit tight on the inner legs. And then just rock the hips from side to side. And then take the legs out in front. And then bring the right leg up into butterfly pose. So inhaling, just let that knee lift up. And then using the ha breath, drop it back down. So inhaling, let the knee lift up. And then on the exhale, that ha breath, one of our birthing breaths, again, which creates this feeling of power and energy and confidence. This is a very strong breath, the ha breath. It's almost like a silent roar. Do that one more time. Then, let me show you first, some of you will have done this before, we're going to lift up and over. So the right hand is going to come about a foot away from the right hip, and then you're going to push up. Now you want to have weight in this left leg, you want to get the right thigh as upright as possible, so you need to push the hips forwards, and then you're going to drape the left arm over the head. So it's a lovely side bend, and just spend a little bit of time there, just really enjoying that stretch. So really try to get your right thigh to be upright, so just adjust, shift more weight into the left leg, it's not quite there. And then circle all the way back down. Now lift that leg up. And then bring it over. So now we're going to work on a hip stretch. So this is working on the outer hip. It's a stretch that often doesn't get done. There's very few sort of natural moves that we make in life that stretch this part of the body. So it's the outer hip flexors iliotibial band. So you want to bring the right heel as far round the left hip as you can, and hopefully getting that bit of a stretch. And in pregnancy this is a little harder, particularly in the latter stages of pregnancy, because you have a bump in the way, so it can be quite difficult. What you can do is actually sit on a big block. So do you, and Jen, if you want to try that, so pop both of your sitting bones, and Catherine, is this the nearly June one? Yeah. It is, isn't it? Yes. Yes, definitely the nearly June row. There'll be a big empty space. Yeah. So if you sit right up on that, you might find it elevates you enough just to get a little bit more out.
Yeah, it'll stretch now.
Okay. So you've got two things happening here. You've got this stretch in the hip, but you've probably also got hamstring stretch as well. So you're just going to hold this for a couple of breaths, and we can go back to our inhaling with our ocean breath, and exhaling with our straw breath. That next breath you can just release. Right leg, have a little bit of a shimmy, and then the left leg is going to come up into half butterfly pose, and then we're going to work again. So inhaling, letting the left knee lift up, and then the hard breath as you come down. Just continue to do that a few more times, and what you'll find is that this is almost a sounded ocean breath. So it's the same thing, it's the same technique that you do with your throat, but you're just doing it with mouth open this time. When you come down this time, we're going to come into the side stretch here. So you're going to bring your left hand about a foot away from your left hip, push up, and then just shimmy yourself around a bit until your left thigh is vertical, right leg is straight, and then reach the right arm all the way over the head.
Cool, I can't put it down.
Oh gosh, that looks really sore.
It's sore. I can't touch it.
This baby can't come soon enough. And then circle all the way back down. And then taking your left leg and bringing it up and over. Again, sitting on a block if your baby bump gets in the way, or if the hips are too tight. Elevating the hips can often just give you that little bit more space that you need to be able to bring the leg around. And then once you've done that, noticing that tightness maybe in the hip or tightness in the hamstring. And then working with the breath again, so ocean breath as you inhale, and then your straw breath as you exhale. And then the next time you breathe out, you can just gently release the legs, give them a little bit of a bounce. And then we're going to come over onto our hands and our knees. And we'll do a little bit of work on the back, so loosening through the back. So coming onto all fours to begin with, and then just working with cat pose. So we haven't done this for a while. So this is the pose where we're just moving the spine into two linear articulations. The first one is round in the back. So you tuck your tailbone under. You push your spine all the way up to the ceiling so the back really rounds. And then you let go of your head and let it hang down. You want to make as much of an arch as you can with your spine. And then if you've got any tightness in the lower back, you could just shimmy the hips from side to side. So then it's looking into that undulating, wriggling movements which can sometimes make a difference. And then so that's the first move, and then the second move is to flatten the back. So we're not going to dip the lower back, we're going to keep it flattened, but we're going to lengthen the chest forwards. Now you feel a little bit of a tug on your belly, and that's the inhale movement. So coming back into your ocean breath, as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round the back, push into the hands as well, that can sometimes help. And as you inhale, flatten back, but just let the chest lengthen forwards. Just continue to do that a few more times. You use your ocean breath, it gives you a lot of time to slowly move your spine and body in these positions. And then the next time you come into the inhale movement, you can just hold that there. So we're going to work into puppy dog pose, which is a gentler variation of downward facing dog, except it isn't. It sounds like it ought to be, it's just a smaller version, but what you're actually doing is you're stretching the upper body. So for puppy dog pose, you need to keep your thighs vertical, and then what you're going to do is you're going to tilt your tailbone to the ceiling. So you're going to stick your bum all the way to the ceiling, but without moving your thighs. So your thighs stay vertical. It'll draw your belly back towards your thighs. You want to shift your weight into the legs. So it should be quite easy to move the hand because you haven't got your weight in your hands. Take the arms wider and then just melt the chest down towards the floor. Now there's obviously going to be a limit to how far you can go. But the idea is that you're really stretching into the upper body, into the shoulders, into the thoracic spine. Just take a couple of breaths here. And push into your shins to rise all the way back. And then from here, you're going to slide your right knee forward, so a nice stretch for the hips, so just a gentle hip drop. Stretch the left leg behind you, and then just rock your hips over to one side and over to the other side. So we're not going to do a full pigeon today, just kind of giving you a really sort of all-round good stretch before we get on to do the Rebozo techniques.
One thing I forgot to say, really bad rib pain at night, I think, because she's like, I had it last pregnancy and through, even, it's the one thing I could feel after I left the drawer was still this rib pain because she was that wedge.
Okay.
Is there anything to...
Yeah, there's loads you can do. It's mostly sort of side bends and upper back stretches. So remind me at the end, and we'll do it next week. I've got quite a few, tricks up the sleeve for rib pain. Yeah, it's quite common. Rib flaring.
Yeah, it's really.
Okay, so from here, place your hands on the floor, tuck your toes under, and if you kind of push lightly back into your left foot, the right leg might effortlessly come back. And then if you want to, you can press back into down facing dog, or if that's just not going to be comfortable today for you, then you can maybe just do a couple more rounds of cat pose, where you're moving the spine in one direction and then in the opposite direction. And then bring your knees all the way back down to the floor, and then slide the left knee forward. Stretch the right leg all the way back, and then just dropping the hips from one side to the other. And then tucking the toes under on the back foot, so you can slide that left leg back, tuck both toes under, and if you want to, you can stretch back into down facing dog again, or you can work into your couch pose. So if you're in down facing dog, you can walk your feet forwards, walk your hands backwards until you are dangling, and then slowly uncurl. Rise all the way up, otherwise just come up to standing in whichever way suits you. Okay, so just going to have a quick standing sequence. So you can come into wide-legged position, and then if you all turn your feet out to the right, and then bend the right leg, but move the left foot around until it really suits you. So it's important that we keep the knee comfortable here, so make sure that the knee sits over the ankle, and then shift a bit of weight back into this left leg. So you don't want all your weight to go over into that right leg. We want the right knee bent, but we want the weight coming over into the left side. And then take the arms out to the sides. We're going to come into reverse warrior, which is bringing the hand onto the back leg, but make sure you keep sinking down in the right leg and then lengthen through the waist. So these kind of poses, Jen, are really nice for the ribs, to just come into any side bend, and probably the kitchen sink stretch would be a good one as well. And then come all the way up. Now bring your elbow over onto the right leg and just extend the left arm up to the ceiling. Now shift your weight back into the left heel, into the left leg. Slowly start to straighten the right leg, but keep your weight back in the left leg. You might not get the right leg all the way straight, and that's fine. So this is a gentle way of approaching triangle pose. Keep pressing both feet down into the ground. And then bend the front knee, drop the elbow onto the thigh, and then push into the right leg to come all the way up. And relax the hands. Turn the feet to the centre, and then go the other way. So now turn the left leg out, bend the left leg, and then bring the right leg around to wherever you want it to be, just so that you can really get that left foot in the right position. And then once you've done that, shift some weight back into the right leg, so you can feel it's taking the strain and the weight out of the left leg. Press both feet into the ground. Get the arms out, and then coming into reverse warrior. So reach back to the right, and then keep the left knee bent, so don't let the leg rise up, but reach the arm up and over the head. And then rise all the way up. And then bring the left elbow onto the left thigh. And just extend the right arm over the head. And then from here, you're going to very gently shift your weight back into the right foot as you slowly straighten the left leg. And then you can bring the left hand onto the shin wherever it reaches. You might be able to get the leg straight, or you might not. And it doesn't matter, because we're looking at the side bend on the right side of the body here. And bend the front knee, push all the way back up and come up. Release the hands, turn the feet to the centre, and then slightly turn out both feet. So this is a really lovely stretch, and I call it the chi ball stretch. It might be a qigong movement that I've picked up somewhere, somewhere along the way. You imagine that you're holding a beach ball in your hands. You want to kind of keep the hands in this position. And then you're going to soften the knees, and you're going to start by taking that ball over to the left, and then you'll find that the right leg straightens in order to get you to come really far over, and then you're going to sweep the ball down to the floor, and you're going to take it over to the left, and you'll notice that the right leg straightens. And then you're going to bring it back to the centre. So you're just going to keep doing that. So just shifting your weight from side to side. And just kind of almost presenting that ball up to the sky on both sides. And you can keep your ocean breath moving. And then, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can make a complete circle. So you can go down to the floor, and then over, and then down. And you have to bend the knees a little bit more so you can get closer to the floor. This is stretching the hips, the back, and the shoulders. And then you can change direction. And then come back to the centre. Relax the arms and just turn your toes in. And bring your heels in. And turn your toes in. And just keep doing that until you're all the way back at the centre. And then just have a little bounce up and down. Okay, so that's a nice little warm up stretch, just a lower body stretch. You might want to grab a quick drink. So we're going to have a look at the Rebozo technique now. So it's quite helpful to work in pairs initially, and then once you kind of get the technique, you might find that you can do it by yourself. But actually, when you're pregnant, it's easier to get somebody else, particularly to tie the knot around the back when you're working with your belly. So if you work with partners, you'll be able to kind of go home and show your partner or somebody, your neighbour, to show them how they can do this with you. So there's 9 of us. So would somebody like to work with me and then you'll be on the video?
I don't know.
You okay? Yeah. So Rupinder is going to be my glamorous assistant. Very glamorous. Okay, so if you'd like to pair yourself up with somebody, sort of equal heights, that's worked out perfectly. You're all standing next to somebody who's about the same height. That doesn't usually happen. You have to get to walk all the way around the room. So we're going to do the pelvic one first of all. So what you're going to do is place the shawl around your pelvis. I'm going to turn around so you can see what you want here is to actually get the shawl to go as low down as your tailbone and then as high up as your waist at the top of your pelvis. And what you want to do is kind of have an equal amount of gathering all the way along. So what you don't want is that it to be all buckled up at either the top or the bottom. You want to have an evenness. So you need to have all the kind of the gathering, just a bit more underneath the tailbone. That's it, all the way down, So just check with each other, make sure that you've got that right. Okay, so remember this is the move that is really good for pelvic pain, for pelvic girdle pain. So we want to support the pelvis, so hence we wrap the shawl around the whole of the pelvis. And then you're going to cross your hands over. So you've crossed the sarong, or whatever you're using, over. So in your cases, it's going to be under your bum. So you're going to want to go under your... I know, it's just a Christmas belly, but under the bum. So kind of level with your pubic bone, really. Because you want, if you had SPD, you would want that tightening to be around the symphysis pubis. And then what you're going to do, every time you breathe out, you're going to pull the hands away from each other. You can kind of feel it all tightening up, yeah? Can you feel that? And then the next time you breathe out, you go a little bit tighter. And it starts to feel really nice. It starts to feel like your pelvis is really held. And the beauty about using the Rebozo technique is that you tie the knot under the bump, whereas with the elasticated bands that they give you, they go over your bump and they restrict your breathing and they feel a little bit tight on the belly. But this is for the hips, so this one is only going around the pelvis. So once you've done that a few times, you've got it as tight as you can, You then need to tie a knot in it, so you have to kind of put your finger in, and then knot it. Just tie a simple knot, and then you might want to go back a few more pulls. So once you've got the technique of pulling, you might want to do the same again, like breathe out and pull, and then you're tying the knot a little bit tighter. I mean, at this point, you could get your nearest and dearest to put the finger on the knot to hold it in place while you tie it again. And then once you've got it as tight as you want it to be, you just, I've put my own finger over the knot while I'm trying to do the thing with the other hand. So you don't really want it to undo or to loosen as you, so try and keep one finger on the knot. Yeah, so Catherine's just said that she's got some from the physio, which is similar to this, whereas physio bands used to just be, you know, an all-in-one, but she's been given something which is designed to go under the bump.
It's got 3 arms, like 3 elastics, right pin but they all go under this. So one goes all around the widest part, and that's together. The other 2 just sit under the bump, like as if your hands are hugging.
That's perfect. It's perfectly what you need, as opposed to what used to be available. So she's going to bring that in. And she was saying, you know, one of the things that you can do with this, if you've got pelvic girdle pain, particularly SPD, you can have this on all day and all night. And I used to suggest to mums who had SPD to put this on while they went to work. You know, you can have it on all day, particularly if you've got a pretty one that kind of, you know, matches your clothes. You could use it as a style statement. And mums who had SPD just said it really made a difference to their day, because it can be really debilitating if you've got SPD during pregnancy, because it just gets worse as the pregnancy develops. And also you can wear it in bed at night. So again, hip pain. If you've got a lot of hip pain, particularly at night, then you can wear this at night, because the knot is under your bump and you're not going to be lying on your belly, so it completely frees everything else up. And as Catherine was saying, she uses her belt to go walking. So again, if you're fine until you go for a walk and then you start to get a little bit of hip pain, then using this for walking, for long walks, can be really useful as well. So how's that all feeling? Do you feel like you've kind of got your, it takes a bit of time getting the knack right, because you've got to get it tight enough.
But it still feels supportive.
Yeah, it does feel quite nice. Particularly sort of, you know, for me, I've got quite a lot of sacral niggles after menopause, and it feels quite nice actually on my sacrum, so I'm quite happy. And there it is. Okay, so now you've got to unknot it and try and get yourself out of it. So this next one, the belly one, this is probably where you're going to need to work with your partner. So Rupinder, shall I leave this one's a bit longer? Do you want to? So Rupinder's going to
put it down.
Yeah. And we're going to now place this over the belly. So you might want to decide who's going to do it first. So who's going to be the binder and who's going to be the bindee. So you start off by just placing the shawl over the bum, and then if Rupinder turns all the way around so that I can show you the back, so go all the way around. Now what you'll find here is it's quite loose everywhere, so that's not going to provide much support. What you're going to do is kind of gather it in like if you've ever done a ponytail where you have to brush and pull and brush and pull and brush and pull. This is kind of what you're doing. So you gather both ends, and then you're just going to draw it in like this. And then the next bit. So where all the puckering is, and what Rupinder's going to feel is it's tightening up a little bit with each of these gatherings until you've got the whole of that one side tight. Yeah, can you feel that? And then it's the same on the other side. then you've got like, as if you're making a ponytail, so that every piece of the fabric is now pulling tight. Okay, so once you've done that, stay together.
No, it's definitely not too tight.
And then yes, you have a conversation. How's that feeling? Okay, not too tight. So you check with your partner, and then you knot it. So you might have to put a finger on the knot. Yeah.
And then what?
Is that tight?
Tight.
Yeah.
Tight.
Yeah, it's definitely not too tight.
It's the same. That's right.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Ta-da. So how does that feel?
That's really nice.
Coordinated. Fashion statement. See, in Mexico, it's not just, they come from Mexico, but actually I spent a lot of time living in Central America, and I didn't see it so much in Mexico because I didn't spend much time there, but I did spend a lot of time in a lot of other countries where they have a lot of the indigenous people living in the mountains, like Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Panama, not so much in Costa Rica because they don't really have indigenous people there, but Ecuador, they do it a lot. And so a lot of the indigenous peoples have these beautifully woven shawls, and they wear them, they use them, they're kind of like a lifelong thing that they take through their lives with them. They use them as shopping bags, they use them to carry their babies, they use them to carry wood on their head, they're just multi-purpose. But they wear them all the time. And it's like a tribal thing, so each person will have a
we have
one
them in
that's
Africa as well, but it's slightly different, but they're tight.
yes, absolutely. And this is
in Japan and China as well. I've seen they do binding after they've had a baby, but I don't know if they shrink everything.
possibly, yeah, and this is what I was saying to you, can use them postnatally as well to help to gather everything in. So it's no surprise really that culturally around a lot of the world where they're still using indigenous knowledge, this is quite popular. We've kind of lost that, haven't we? But does that feel good? Does that feel nice and held? Okay, so do you want to swap over and do your partner? You can stay there actually if he's really not doing it. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it on this?
Would you do it on yourself?
You wouldn't be able to do it on yourself.
You have to get someone else to do it.
Yeah. So if you do it to me, then I'll help you to sort of show somebody else to do it. Yeah. Okay, so for those ones who have it done, you place it over the bump, so under the rib cage, right the way down to the pubic bone, and then your partner is going to gather it up like a ponytail. So you start on one side, and then you start probably at the top of the bottom, you just pull each of the bits in. Yeah, I do. It's probably easy to go pulling each of it in line until there's no. So what you're doing with that pulling is you're stopping any loose fabric, because if you don't do that, you're going to get kind of pockets of. Let's just get it back down to here. Sorry, I completely undid it. It was just especially that point. No, it's slightly looser than this. Yeah, then that's sort of smooth. That's lovely. That's we don't make the most of our bums, do we? I mean, just look, if every pregnant woman wore something like this, how beautiful would you all look? I think it's a missed opportunity. This should be the next maternity fashion.
Right or wrong there?
That's my life story. I do one side. Yeah, that's how it works. Okay. So as you can see, the belly one, it's not really possible to do on yourself. You'd really struggle to do that on yourself. So you do need somebody else to do that for you. And if it's a man, they might struggle if they've never made a ponytail before. They might not understand.
Or they're too scared to. Yeah, it would be rough enough.
So you might need a female friend or a sister or a mother who can do this, who's used to making ponytails. But as I say, having said that, I don't want to do a complete disservice to men, because actually, if you've already got daughters, then still not.
She attempts, it's atrocious. She doesn't have much hair though, so like it is hard, and with these tiny little bobbles, when the hair's so fine.
Yeah.
But no, his fingers are too big for them.
And have you got a daughter, Lauren?
No, I've got a
boy.
I've got a little boy.
You've got two boys, so no ponytails happening. No. Okay, right. So it's just a thought, yes. But you can see, can't you, how that's going to be quite difficult. You are going to need some help to bind those up. Maybe get in touch with each other if you live near each other. Go and bind each other. Okay, thank you very much. So that's your You can keep them on if you want. If you're comfortable, keep them on. Okay, so we're just going to have a few lying down exercises, and then you can come into your complete lying down position for relaxation. So if you want to have everything handy that you might need to lie down, just grab whatever you need.
I'm doing that now. I'm just doing that arm stroke.
We're just going to come and lie down. Now when you come to lie on your back, you might find it easy, particularly as you get progressively into your pregnancy, to actually come from the side. So rather than going straight back, come onto your side and then roll onto the back. So we're going to stretch the back out with a neat chest pose, which is where you're going to bring the knees either side of your bum and draw the knees up towards your chest and maybe have a little roll around. So this is a really nice way of stretching out the lower back. And then if you circle the knees around, you can often massage into the back of your pelvis. So
So you might not realise that you have actually got quite a lot of congestion in the back of your pelvis around the sacral area. So rolling the knees around in this way might start to really ease that out, or to massage into the lower back. And then just bring the left foot down to the floor, and then stretch the right leg up to the ceiling. So just kind of a little bit of drainage here. You can point the toe again, you can pull the toes towards you. Do that a few times. So this is stretching into the calf muscle. And then just hold the leg up there for a few breaths. So this is quite good if you've got any swelling in the legs and in the feet or in the calf muscles. And just spending a little bit of time with your legs elevated can help that process of drainage. And it helps even more if you make the movements with the ankles, because it creates the pumping effect of the calf muscles. So when we want to get fluid, lymphatic fluid, moved from anywhere around the body, we have to use muscular action, because it's not prone, it's not a pump. But the only way it's going to move is if the lymphatic vessels are squeezed by the contracting of the muscles. And then you can bring that leg down and then stretch the left leg up to the ceiling. And then do the same again, point your toes, bring the toes towards you, do that a few times. Just feeling that stretch from the back of the leg. And then rotate the ankle around. And then go back the other way. And then just stretch the leg up to the ceiling, just allowing that drainage to take effect. And then bending. Now taking the arms wide out to the sides, and just gently take the knees over to the right side, getting a little twist in the lower back. And then bring the knees back up to the centre. And then take the knees over to the left. And then bring them back up to the centre. And just do that a few times. You can work with your slow ocean breath. Just easing the legs over from side to side. Notice if this starts to loosen the back, and the back becomes a little spacious. And then when you're finished, you can just come over into your position for relaxation. So that might be lying on the right side, might be lying on the left side. If you're less than 20 weeks, which I don't think anybody is, you can lie on your back. And just make yourself as comfortable as you can. So you want to be really well supported. So wherever you feel that you don't have adequate support, just allow yourself to place either a pillow or a block under those areas. And you can spend some time really getting yourself comfortable
Once you are completely comfortable, just easing yourself all the way down into the mat and just resting into complete stillness. So just feeling the sensation of the ground against the body. Embrace the stillness and the quietness. Just become aware of your breath. And just tap into the gentle, natural rhythm of your inhalation and your exhalation. And becoming aware of the presence of your baby. So taking your attention down into your belly, just acknowledging the presence of this new life, growing and developing. And become aware of the relationship that your baby has to your breath. So as you breathe in and out, your body absorbs the oxygen into your bloodstream, and then that oxygen gets passed through the placenta into your baby's circulation. And then the CO2, which is the waste product from the metabolic process of respiration, gets passed back from your baby into your placenta and gets carried away with your own stores of CO2, which you then exhale out of your body. So it's a full circuit of breath. So the next time you breathe in, just visualize or feel the breath not only moving around your own body, your own circulatory system, but imagine it nourishing your baby. And then again, as you breathe out, just being aware that you are removing the waste gases, not only from your own body, but from your baby as well. And just feel the fluidity, the gentle flow that you are creating. And just turning your attention back to your own breath. And in particular, just being aware of your exhalation. And you can either watch the natural exhalation, or you can consciously make the out-breath a little bit longer. And every time you breathe out, you're going to use the exhalation to cultivate the quality of letting go, the quality of release, surrender, and relaxation. So focusing on each and every exhalation as it comes, and see if you can really soften, really let go a little bit more with each out breath. You can refine that process to various parts of your body. So move your awareness to your right shoulder. And for the next few breaths, every time you exhale, just letting go of the right shoulder. See if you can make it heavier. Can you drop it a little bit more? And then move your awareness across into the left shoulder. And repeat that same process, so every time you breathe out, just letting go of the left shoulder. Exhaling and letting the left shoulder feel heavier, feel softer, feel looser. Into your head. And now every time you breathe out, just consciously relaxing your head, just getting your head to feel really heavy, really relaxed, really released. The more you relax and release your head, the more the neck will relax and release. So the sole purpose of the neck is to hold the head in place. So when we let go of the head, the neck should be able to come into a state of perfect relaxation. And then move your awareness down into your pelvis. Repeat that same process every time you breathe out, cultivating a sense of softening, relaxing, and letting go of the whole of your pelvis. settle the awareness back on the breath, the sensation of the breath in the nostrils. And begin to externalize your awareness. Notice all the sensations in your body. Notice how your body feels. Be aware of the ground beneath you. Be aware of the people lying nearby. And then start to bring a little more movement into your body. Wriggle your toes and your fingers. Stretching the body out wherever you feel that you want to. And then, in your own time, in your own way, gradually awaken a little bit more. And slowly bring yourself all the way until you're sitting. Just take a moment to notice how you feel on every realm of being, so physical, mental, emotional. And we'll close our practice by chanting the 3 sounds of Om. Take a breath in. Thank you so much, Yogini Mamas. Have a wonderful week. And go out into the world with your new fashion accessories. Sarong belly.